Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bahasham, Rakah Hakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother Corner Watt of the Great Millstone Charlotte Camp. Come with another lesson to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Uh, so, I have the title of the lesson here, man. It's my third time trying to do this, man, Satan. But uh, pretty much going into how we're clearly in a time of war, right? It's clear as day. It's easy to see, right? And all the signs are pointing towards us being in a time of war, right? Which, hasn't been deemed World War III, right? But these are all the signs and stages that World War III would entail, you know? It just hasn't been coined that yet. So as it says here in these Ecclesiastes 3 and 8, a time of love, a time to hate, and a time of war, and a time of peace, right? So we're in the time of war as we speak, man, right? They have Trump set up to declare peace and safety, right? To lull people to sleep, right? But then sudden destruction is going to hit because we're actually in a time of war, right? Now, when you read this here, this is the AI overview. I just searched the signs of incoming war. It says signs of an impending war include heightened political rhetoric, rapid military buildup, increased border tensions, right? And we see that taking place with the migrant situation, diplomatic breakdowns, right? So there's going to be government dissension, right? We see that, globally right now, over in Israel, a lot of them are trying to remove Netanyahu, right, out of power. And he's already gotten, what's the word? An arrest warrant from the ICC, right? For war crimes. So this is all diplomatic uh, uh, breakdowns. It says propaganda campaigns, because they're going to continue to push the propaganda, right? For people to be, pro small hat, right, or people to be against Iran, or people to be against Russia or China, right? It says economic sanctions. And Trump has already vowed to put tariffs on these nations, which is going to lead to, more economic turmoil. It says social unrest, so going into civil war, right? Dissension among these people. Extremist activity, there's, the T attacks, right? They're going to have various false flags and things of that nature that take place, in these coming months, Lord willing, in this next year. Um, what else it says? It says social unrest, extremist activity, assassinations of key figures, and we saw 3 so-called attacks or assassination attempts on Donald Trump, right? It says, and sudden large-scale military movements. So we're seeing that posturing, right? That those shows of force, right? Military showing, right, what they're capable of. You know, we see it in Korea. China often does it, right? Russia's in the midst of doing it with Ukraine. America does it, and then they're all, posturing up down there in the Middle East, man, the so-called Middle East, right? And then the Valley of Decision, Yahweh Shaphat, right? The Valley of the Lord's Judgment, man, right? It says, um, the assassinations of key figures and sudden large-scale military movements, all often accompanied by a growing sense of hostility and distrust between nations or factions within a country, right? So there's growing dissension, right, in the earth, right? That division, right? That house divided, because even between the upper elites, right, they're not all on one accord, right? So that division is finding itself throughout all facets of the world. It continues on and reads these key indicators to watch for. Now, when you go into a website like Natural News, which is relatively unbiased reporting, right? All these articles, for the most part, can tie into something that we're about to read or just read in regards to the signs of a incoming war, right? So, we read about aggressive nationalist rhetoric from leaders, right? There's an article here about Stephen Miller, the White House deputy chief, promising a new golden era under Trump, right? So he's rousing that Edomite pride, right? That excessive nationalism, right? Aggressive nationalism. It said demonization of opposing groups, right? Because the man, what is it? I think it's called the Aliens Act of 1778 or something of that nature. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it speaks on those who right oppose Babel or oppose America, but Babylon the Great, right back then as well as now, that Trump is planning on reinstituting, right? So that's demonizing those who don't believe or follow in that same rhetoric. It says demonizing of opposing groups, politicians openly advocating for military action, right? And Trump's not even in office, so we know that the Biden administration is probably going to continue to stoke those flames, man. Right? It says sudden changes in government leadership increase political polarization, and we see the result in the mind frame of people. Right? They were polarized right through Trump and Kamala, man. Right? It says large scale military exercises near borders, rapid weapons development and procurement. So they're sending out weapons, they're making more weapons, right? Nations are acquiring more weapons, deployment of troops to contested areas, increased military spending, cyber attacks targeting critical infrastructure, right? And we've seen cyber attacks at an all-time high this last year, man, right? And still happening, taking place today, you know? And all these nations have cyber attack teams at the ready, and we're really just one flip of a switch from the whole grid being in shambles. It reads, rapid, oh no, I read that. Economically, economic sanctions imposed on the nation, right? Fluctuations in stock markets due to geopolitical concerns, and that's what we're seeing as of right now, right? People are more focused on tangible goods rather than the uh, the stock market, right? So people are pulling their money out. They're focusing on either trying to get ahead of the curve as far as the digital currencies are concerned, right? Or investing in things that are profitable during war times, right? It says disruption of trade routes. So like yeah. It says mobilization. It's like growing anti-foreign sentiment, right? And going into the migrant crisis that we're seeing in America right now. You know, that all ties into us being in the midst of a war, right? Mobilization of extremist groups. So they got what's it called, the Proud Boys or Q19 or any of these various militias, that are uh, a so-called threat, right? Censorship of media and information control. They're about to hit us with that, severely, man. Right? That ties into the famine of the word, right? Because what we're seeing is them controlling what you can say, who you can speak about, right, where you can say it, how, what kind of access you have to information, and all those things, man. Right? They're trying to quell all that, right? Um, it's a lot. It says migration waves it's like migration waves due to conflict fears. But the point, right? All these things are indicative of a war times, man. So it's clear as day that we're in the midst of times of war. So I wanted to start here in Second Ezra 9 in the Good News Translation, starting at verse 1. It reads, He answered, Consider all these things very carefully, right? So think about what we're seeing, think about what we're hearing, right? The things that are being presented to us, right, in regards to the news, geopolitically and domestically, and filter it through prophecy, right? And like it says, when you see that some of the signs that I've told you about have appeared, you will know that the time has come when the Most High will bring judgment on the world He has created. Right? So these are all the judgments of the Lord taking place, man. Everything you see, good or bad, right, is at the hands of Yahweh Bashem Shai, right? Including the wars, right? And the culmination of that ultimate war being World War III, right? Where all these nations are being gathered in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. It's like verse 3. There will be earthquakes, national rebellions, right? So civil war, um, international intrigues. Now, when you go into that word for intrigue, let's see here. It says down here, definition 2. Make secret plans to do something illicit or detrimental to someone, man. So this is the planning, the plans of these nations, man. Right? They're all, making plans to do illicit acts, to destroy each other's economies and things of that nature, man. Right? These are all the plans that they're, setting off and embarking in. Right? It says unstable leaders. Right? So unstable instability in the White House, instability, right, in these Israeli parliaments and all these other nations, man, right? These are all signs of war, right? Global tensions arise out of that. It says unstable leaders and confused rulers, because all of these nations that have these nuclear capabilities are on pins and needles right now because they know, right, that they have to hold back or else all hell is gonna break loose, man, right? Because they all know there's only one real shot, right? And there's no winners in a nuclear war, right? In a carnal sense, man. Now spiritually, we understand that the elect, right, are gonna be the winners of this nuclear war, this Armageddon, as they call it, man, right? It says when you see these things happening, you will know that they are what the Most High has spoken about since the beginning of creation, right? So this is all the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? Isaiah 55 and 11, right? His word shall not return unto him void, but will accomplish that which he pleases, right? It says, um, verse 5, the beginning and the end of everything that happens in this world are clear, man. These things are clear as day, right? When the Lord has given you the spirit to understand these signs and see these things and be able to filter them through the spirit, through the scriptures, man. Right? It's clear as day. Habakkuk 2 and 2, right? Lord willing, we can get that. Right? It says the same is true in the world above. Wonders and miracles show the beginnings of events, and mighty signs show when they end, man. So this is all the will of the Lord, right? Making these things plain upon tables, making them easily understood, easily disseminated, right? Giving us the access to be able to filter these things and prove them through prophecy, man, right? Um, where we at? Habakkuk 2, and we'll start in 1. It reads, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved, right? So we're standing upon that watchtower, right? Like I said in the NLT, we're standing on our guard post, and we're looking out with the binoculars and pointing out, right, the incoming dangers, man, right? We're pointing these things out, right, for the believers to be able to prepare themselves in the spirit and align themselves with Yahweh Hashem Shai even more. It reads, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it, man. Make it plain upon tables, man. Easily understood, right? Let's see what this word plain speaks on. Um, clearly, unequivocally, right? With no fluff, right? With no like I said, it's obvious, No, plain and simple, man. These things are easily understood. Like it says, they're plain unto the holy, but stumbling blocks unto the wicked, man. Right? These things are easily understood unto those that have been given that unction of Yahweh Shemel Shah. And even then, right, the in the speaking of World War III, these people know, right, that we're on the cusp and actually in the midst of World War III, man. Right? It just the ultimate fighting hasn't taken off yet. But this is the time that we're in, and it's plain, right? Verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, man. So this vision is going to take place, man. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you think, right? The Lord's word is going to take place, in His due season. Like we read in Ecclesiastes 3:1, because we had jumped down, but in Ecclesiastes, well, it's lucky. In Ecclesiastes 3:1, it says to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, man. Right? So the purpose of Yahweh Shema Shai has its time, right? And He's the one who knows that time. He's going to allow these things to take place in their due time, in their due season. But they're not going to just not happen, man. He said they were going to take place, so He's a man of His word, right? Now let's grab this in Matthew, right? Because we're speaking on World War III, right? And it's already been prophesied that these things are going to take place, right? This is Matthew 24 and verse. I'll start in 6. Oh, so yeah. It's Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? So, what we're seeing right now is all a formality of prophecy, man, right? All these things have to take place, have to come to pass, but the end isn't here yet, man, right? We're in the midst of the end, but like people were overreacting to the, Russia launching the missiles and, Ukraine launching missiles at Russia. Right. But the Lord isn't going to allow the world to end or this age, this current rulership to end without establishing that MOTB first, man. Right? Because that's the last major prophecy, right, outside of World War III that has to take place. So all that has to happen first, before the nukes get launched out, man. So we're going to continue to hear these rumors of wars, right? These proxy wars, these bankers wars, these trade wars, these cyber attack wars. All these things are going to be happening, right? But the end is not yet. Now we're in the midst of the end, so things are going to continue to go downhill, right? That doesn't mean things are going to be easy just because it says, but the end is not yet. It still means things are going to be hard out here, right? And we might be in the midst of Jacob's trouble, right? But the end still, right? Salvation isn't there, right? It's nearer than we believe, but until that MOTB gets mandated, right? Gets constituted, as it says, right, where He calls it all, right? All these things have to take place, right, before our salvation is secured. The Lord willing, we be of that elect number. Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, man. So war, evil, pestilence, right, is what's about to take place, right? Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, right? So in fighting between the elites, right, and then you have the fighting between these various nations, and then you have the fighting inside of America against these Babylonians, man. All this fighting is a part of end time prophecy, right? As well as the famine, the food, the pestilences, all these sicknesses out here, and earthquakes, national disasters, man, floods, landslides, earthquakes, sinkholes. all things of that nature in diverse places. But verse 8, all these things are the beginning of sorrows, man. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? The very beginning of, like it says, of the birth pains, with more to come in the NLT, man. Right, so this is those first contractions that we see, right? In Second Ezra 16th chapter, it speaks about that, man. Right? Now jumping down to verse 32. Yep, verse 32, right? Because we spoke on how these things are being made plain, right? How we're clearly in the midst of World War III, man. Right? We're clearly in times of war, right? Now this is Matthew 24:32. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise, so like yeah, so likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors, man. It's right here in your face, man. Knocking on the door, right? Kicking the door, looking through the windows, tapping on the glass, right? This is where prophecy is at right now. I'm telling you of all these things, man. The wars, the pestilences, the earthquakes, right? The famines, the sedition among men, right? The evils and only evils, right? These things are at the doors. The watchmen are on those gates, and we're looking at these things come to the gate, right? Right? As we were calling it out as it was further down the line, it's here now, man. And they got that battering ram trying to bust the gates down, right? And in your time of protection, you didn't seek it, right? You didn't seek the Lord while he was found, right? Like the scriptures tell us, man. You didn't call upon him while he was near. So now you're gonna be taken victim of, man, right? But the point being, these things are at the doors, right? These things are here, right in your face, live and direct. Verse 34, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Right? So all these prophecies have to take place. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away, because the Lord's word is forever. It's final. Right? These scriptures, right? These things were written, thousands of years, before our time, and they were written for our learning, right? That we may, be able to disseminate these things to the believers, right? That we may be able to understand, right, and runneth, as we read in that Habakkuk second chapter, man. Right? We can run, that read these things. Um, Verse 36, but of that day and hour knoweth no man, but the angels of heaven. It's like not the angels of heaven, but my Father only, man. So the only one that knows these things is Yahweh, right? He's going to use Yahweh Shai as that judge, right? In these times to come. But this is all on the Father's time, you know. And what time are we in right now? Is a time of war, both the physical war going into World War III and these civil wars, and as well as a spiritual war. We're constantly under attack. We're constantly being, tried and tested right through our spirits through these various attacks that the Lord has taken place in the earth, man. Right, and then Esau, right, is continuing to try to separate the elect, from Yahweh Shem Shai. But Romans 8th chapter, I believe, is the 32nd verse, or probably starting at 32. Let me just look at it real quick. It's a lot. I don't want to misquote it. But the point being, right, that the elect can't be taken out of the Lord's hand. You know, yeah, starting at 31 and reading all down, right? It just speaks on, right, all the things that the elect will go through, but those spirits still belong to Yahweh Shema Shai, right? Right, though they're not going to be taken out of the hands of the Heavenly Father, right? Out of the protection, right? Right, He's going to keep His chosen, right? But He's allowed His chosen to understand, to be given that foresight, right? To see, right? The prudent men, right, to be able to foresee these evils and hide themselves in that pavilion. And part of these evils is the war of wars that we see, right, in these times, you know. But, Lord willing, that was edifying lesson to the spirit and probably how about Shemel Shai, right? We're clearly in a time of war, So again, praying unless was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem El Shai Bashem Kakwadash. I want to close by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem El Shai Bashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom, shalom. And Kwame Yasharala and the Bible Ball. Shalom.